Welcome in, guys. Starting a little late today. Had the technical difficulties going on. Switching laptops, couldn't hear anything. So bear with us if we're just trying to get this going. It's a hot mess. I'm looking at 3 screens right now back here. Some of them are black, some of them are just messed up, but we're gonna get through it. All right. So I'm Tumi, my boy Eric. Hits and misses, week 3. Lots of stuff happened this week. A lot of it started off slow. I actually had in our showrunner, these 1 o'clock games are garbage. And then it picked up real big. Before getting to the show, if you had to pick one hit, Eric, pick one hit, what would you say?
Well, you already know me, man. I'm going with Andy Dalton, baby. My Panthers, we back. What's up?
Do you think you're actually back? Or do you think that was just a good game?
Hell no. I think that was a good game. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to prepare for a player. He has nothing on tape right now. And as poorly as my man Bryce Young was playing, they didn't see what the Panthers could really do. So really that is the anticipation. The game going through Deontay Johnson, the game going through Adam Thielen, the way Chuba Hubbard even came alive. So finally some efficiency. This is what we intended to go ahead and do. It's just that the Raiders caught us without having anything on tape. Andy Dalton did what a lot of people were trying to go ahead and assume what happened this week, and he really made the offense much more efficient. If you, took the liberty of starting any of your Panthers, you should be a little bit happy today.
I feel you. And I think, if you guys see a little glitchy, it is what it is. We're going to get through the show today. I agree with you on all those hits. I mean, we're going to get into it, but, Chuba Hubbard went crazy. Deontay Johnson went crazy. Adam Thielen, before he hurt, caught a big touchdown. And Andy Dalton was moving this offense like Dave Canales wanted. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to play like that every week, but I do think, this looked the most similar to what we saw last year in Tampa Bay. And so that's at least encouraging if you happen to still own any Panthers. I know a ton of people who, they dropped Deontay Johnson. I was telling everybody, at least you should stash him. I mean, that's ridiculous, have him as a free agent. You know what I mean? And so –
exactly. Come on now.
There's a ton of stuff we got to get into, guys. We got to talk about Juwan Jennings' ass. I mean, he almost went for 50. Got to talk about Derrick Henry. We got to talk about Mike Evans. We got to talk about Zamir White. We got to talk about Anthony Richardson and his bum ass. We're going to talk about all of that and more on Hits and Misses. Let's go. All right. I mean, I'm happy we got a win. I'm very happy we got a W, the Colts. That is, we are not on the team. But I'm very happy we got that win, but golly. I'm going to just start negative. Let's just start out. We just got to do it. Anthony Richardson played like some donkey ass. He played awful. Anthony Richardson, Eric, I would like you to read verbatim. What do we have in our show notes when I have the line Anthony Richardson under misses?
All right. Please excuse my French. Anthony Richardson, fucking awful. Decisions on interception. 10 of 20 completions, 167 yards, 2 interceptions, 8 carries for 24 yards.
Yeah, it was bad. And this was one of those ones where, I was telling people last week, he threw 3 picks. He was awful, but that's really kind of, in fantasy at least, that's the floor, right? The floor is he gave you 12 points in probably his worst game as a pro, right? I was incorrect. I think the floor could get worse. And I think the thing that kind of disturbed me, and I'm kind of being tongue in cheek. I actually think he's still in QB1 conversation. But I think a lot of it, the Colts fan in me is kind of coming in where I have to start to admit, I've been kind of dismissing the real quarterback side of this, saying he could be good in fantasy. Real quarterback, story's still being developed there. I'm not really ready to judge him yet. I cannot with those decisions. Those decisions on those interceptions was something that was spectacularly stupid. The shit I saw. The one in the red zone was crazy. He threw it to a pack of bears.
Yes.
It was a den. It was a fucking cave full of bears, and that man threw it right into he threw it into a linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds' chest. Because you could see what he saw from one angle, But that's one of those things you see is like, you know what? Me, and I guess I don't have any talent. I would never even think to throw that because clearly I don't have the arm talent. And I feel like that's the thing that maybe got in his head, like, oh, I got the arm talent. I could just sneak that shit in there to Adonai Mitchell, past 3 defenders in the red zone. I'm good. Yeah, you go ahead and talk.
This cat pissed me off today.
I think everyone has to agree with you because when he made that interception in the red zone, I audibly said, "What the fuck is he doing? Great day. That didn't look professional at all." I'm like, my man, what are you thinking right there? I was very, very taken aback when he did that. But we gave him his smoke on the same team while we're here. Michael Pittman Jr., those of you who are anticipating a big game out of him, even with the arrival of Josh Downs and everything. If you leaning on Anthony Richardson and he's making these kinds of decisions, I would be concerned at this point now. We had week 3, and we've gone 2 weeks in a row, and we like, yo, his decision-making capacity is not up there with his, talent that we can see that he can actually put that on the field. He got the arm strength, he can run and everything, but between the ears, the man a little lacking. I'm just, it's worrisome. Oh, Tumi caught in the Matrix, it looked like. Let me go ahead and start with a hit while everybody's here. We got to go ahead and say 2 weeks in a row, Malik Neighbors for everybody. If you pick this man up in your draft with Malik Neighbors following Marvin Harrison Jr., you should be very, very content. I got to say, 28.2 points, 2 carries, 4 yards, 8 of 12 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. My goodness. Malik Neighbors for the Giants, and the Giants came in with that defense. You're smiling ear to ear right now if you got Malik Neighbors. Don't trade Malik Neighbors. Everything that you heard about him was absolutely correct. Just to go ahead and hit you with one of the hits as we just destroyed the misses, starting with Tumi's Colts there. Tumi's getting himself together. Let me go ahead and say another positive thing as far as what we opened the show with. As a Panther fan, I want to dive into those Panthers. Andy Dalton, let's go ahead and put his points up here. 24.8 points, 26 for 37 completions, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Panthers. I don't think anybody anticipated the Panthers doing anything like that. Man, Deontay Johnson, we were told the offense was going to go through him. We saw it today finally. 26.2 points, 8 of 14 receptions with 122 yards and 1 tidy. Adam Thielen, he would have done his thing had he not gotten hurt just before the halftime, but he got there with 13 points, 35 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And, of course, as Tumi said earlier, the other Panther, Chuba Hubbard, 27.9 points, 21 carries, 114 yards, 5 of 5 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown. Keep in mind, Jonathan Brooks is also on his team. If he can come in there and he be even more efficient with these numbers, with this opportunity that Andy Dalton's providing, you got a very good look in Jonathan Brooks coming up. You hear Tumi?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
For sure.
I don't know. Everything just went black, darker than me.
Yeah,
everything
we
black. Well, I mean, hey, I heard you talking about your Panthers again. But yeah, the Jonathan Brooks thing is real. He is somebody who I think is a priority pickup. I also think after this Chuba Hubbard performance, I think Chuba Hubbard's going to get heavily involved in this offense. But he's the definition again. When players do stuff like this, you have to sell them high. And I also think that with Jonathan Brooks coming back within the next few weeks, this seems like a backfield where they will do some level of a split. But at some point in the season, Jonathan Brooks will separate himself from the pack. So I do think that's something to definitely take note of for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. And I'm glad it honestly was probably smart of my computer to cut off when I was just dumping all over Anthony Richardson. That's just probably the Colts telling me something. All right. Let's talk about some more of these hits real quick. Let's talk about we got to talk about Juwan Jennings. We had to take these stats prior to the game ending because it was still going on, but Juwan Jennings, 47 points. He actually may have gotten higher than that. We got 11 of 12 for 175 and 3 touchdowns. Ayuk, I don't know what he did, but it's nowhere near that. And clearly Ayuk was locked and loaded, start Ayuk this week. And Juwan Jennings, I even told people on TikTok and everywhere, I told a lot of people, don't even worry yourself with Juwan Jennings. Really, just don't even worry about that. He's Juwan Jennings. What is he going to do? sorry, we got to put an E on this one. But like, I was so wrong. Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. Like, Juwan Jennings, the reason why this matters so much is you just see what Brock Purdy was doing. Brandon, he's getting open downfield. There was multiple times I said he's just wide open down the field. He's just wide open down the field, walking touchdown if you chuck it. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a Brock Purdy thing. Like, he just wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't pulling the trigger. And Juwan Jennings was the intermediate short guy, and Purdy's very comfortable with that. Like, we saw that earlier this year with Debo getting more targets over the first 2 games. Like, I don't know if it's something unique this year, but Purdy is just way more comfortable with the short and intermediate stuff. And he was just looking for 15. So, I mean, talk about a priority pickup. Like, if he's not picked up, pick him up, bro. Oh, geez. Where do you want to go next? You want to go
I
negative,
foolishly had him
positive?
on my bench myself, so I could have really used it.
Oh, yeah? That's it. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like,
I could have really used
it. He's Juwan Jennings, bro. Like, he's Juwan Jennings. Like, this is the thing. Like, you don't want to overreact. Literally in his life, there will never be a better game than this. Never. There was just never going to happen. But it's not about that when you like pick him up in fantasy or when you try to like acquire him. It is about the opportunities. Clearly, he has the eye of Brock Purdy. That's really all that matters. Brandon Ayuk's gonna have better games than he had, but you have somebody who clearly has the eye of Brock Purdy in a very good offense. You just have to take note. But he won't give you 47 points next week. But you gotta take note.
Got you.
Yep. All right.
You want to stay with
the
hits?
Going next? Oh, you got? Yeah. Let's be positive. Go ahead.
What I got to give him his due. The Eagles fans, you were ishing on this man because he dropped the pass against the Falcons, and you go ahead and say the Falcons came back because he didn't complete the pass. Well, Saquon Barkley is why you won this game. Saquon Barkley with 33.6 points, 17 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 2-point conversion, 4 of 4 receptions for an additional 9 yards. Saquon is making a very sizable difference. Take note
100.
that Dallas Goedert did his thing as well. 170 yards, 17 points in his own right. But you guys lost Devontae Smith, unfortunately, to a concussion. You didn't have A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over, and you still came out with a W. Saquon Barkley makes a difference. If he's on your fantasy team, he's making a difference. He is that guy, that dude, and he's going to really, really whoop the Giants' tail when he gets opportunity. That's something I can sense from him as well. He can't wait for that game.
Yeah. He's he's good. Yeah, that's the one. And they know. Everyone knows it. Probably it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be like too much of a big deal, and we're going to like overrate him. And for that game, it's just going to be we're going to hype that up so much. But he put that team on his back where they had no business winning that game. Now, they at least kept it close. They kept it close enough where he could make a couple plays to make it happen. But those plays he made, they were getting nothing on the ground. And then he just said, F that. I'm going to just go for 60. He still just has that game-changing ability. When you lose Devontae Smith, that's the best receiving talent you have. Dallas Goedert went crazy. You can't expect that again. But, like, Barkley really did his damn thing. Like, he really put the team on his back. And just really quick on Goddard, I got to give credit to – I don't know if you listen to Fantasy Football Today on CBS. They do, like, a lot of, like, good fantasy content. Adam Azer, he's the host of that show. I got to give him credit because he said, like, Dallas Goedert this year had run, like, 8 routes in the red zone. Like, he was just running a lot of routes in the red zone. I think all of last year he ran 14. And in the first 2 weeks, he already ran 8. And it was just like a little nugget to say, like, Kellen Moore's offense calls for the tight end to be used rather heavily. And maybe we're just kind of like, we've just had some near misses the first 2 weeks, and he should be on somebody's radar. And so in my rankings, I had him in my top 10, and I never, ever, ever have Dallas Goedert in my top 10. And that wasn't me. That was definitely Adam Azer. So shout out to CBS Fantasy Football Today. All right, so next one. So we got Barkley. We got our Panthers. I'm not going to talk about the Colts. I'm going to shout out JT, doing your thing. 26.5 points, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 TDs. Good stuff. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's go negative. Maybe I'm just going to be bad cop today. I'm all salty about these technical glitches. All right. So, all right, Mike Evans, stepping to the office, bro. Mike Evans, step in here because boy, oh boy, Pat Surtain got you in timeout. Very predictable that he was going to have a down game, but not 17 yards. Not 17 yards. Like that, I expected him to have like 40 yards, maybe like hopefully he falls into the end zone, but he's at least going to give you 40 yards, 5 catches, not murder you. He murdered you today. He gave you 3.7 points, 2 of 3 for 17 yards. That whole team there was a lot of underdogs that wanted to punch some people in the mouth today.
Oh yes.
And that was another game where I definitely was like, Denver, I'm taking Denver in the spread, just like with the Panthers I told you before the show. I was like, I'm taking the Panthers in the points. I just don't believe in the Raiders to like put up that type of spread, 6.5. Same thing with like Denver. I was like, Baker's been playing at the 99.99 percentile level. He's going to come back to earth a little bit. Denver's defense has been very good the first 2 weeks. It just kind of looked a little sus because of the competition. They played like the Steelers and they played the Seahawks. But no, they were actually getting after the Seahawks pretty good in Seattle. Like they had all those safeties, remember, for week 1?
Yes.
Denver was really getting after it. So I felt like there was some possibility for that. But that I still like Mike Evans, like I don't know. This is again, I've said it multiple times. This is one of the reasons why I've just been kind of down on him this whole offseason. Like if he's not scoring, you really are kind of shit out of luck with him.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think seeing the Buccaneers play as poorly as they did, and the name Chris Godwin comes to mind, the fact that he still did relatively well, you can just see that even his floor on this team, when they're not getting it done, is something that you want. Mm-hmm. So like I said in week 2, here in week 3, if you had the potential to acquire Chris Godwin, make sure you can make it work and it not cost you too much. Chris Godwin is doing the damn thing. He's already eclipsed the number of touchdowns he had last year in week 3 right now. Bang.
Yeah, like he's going crazy. And like I don't like, God forbid, knock on wood, like health is there. There's no reason why that should stop. I think this is technically the one or the second toughest wide receiver matchup in fantasy was the Denver Broncos. And so he still gave you like some points today. Like his role in this offense is safe. He is a good check down valve. They designed this offense for a player like that because, again, in this Cohen scheme, and Cohen came from Sean McVay, Godwin is the Cooper Kupp here. And so it is really important to remember that. Like, I'm not trading away Chris Godwin. If I have Chris Godwin, he's sticking on my team. I'm not like that. He may not give you the highest ceilings every week, but that floor for him, that is just one of those guys that just helps you in a championship run not get murdered on a week by week basis.
Yeah. Now you look at the Buccaneers on the ground. Bucky Irving also, I would say his efficiency on the ground is something I also noticed. It's the first time this game I was like, I think he had like 4 carries for like 40 yards or something like that. Something very, very efficient. In where even somebody like myself, I'm taking away as a viewer, he's much more effective on the ground compared to the other homeboy. You want some Bucky Irving if you can get him as well. He's worth the stash on your bench, to be honest with you. I'm going to state that as well.
He's worth a stash, and he's getting to the point where he may have some just like some flex value on his own because God, Eric, the amount of shit I took this offseason for just saying like, hey, I know Rachaad White's the guy, but like Bucky Irving is like he's a better first and second down back, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? He's tiny, he's so slow. Like he ran a slow 40, he's a tiny player. It's like, yeah, but if you listen, I gotta find this clip and post it. Of the running backs coach in the offseason, there was this one particular interview that he gave where you would think that he is talking about somebody he fucking hates. Like he's talking about Rachaad White and how like kind of bad he is on the ground. And then because they're talking, I think it was after the draft, and he was talking about Bucky Irving. It's like, yeah, Bucky's puts his foot in the ground and goes. It was like, I'm taking notice of that. Like that's very interesting because even a reporter tried to like give him a layup and say, hey. But Rachaad White, I mean, when he catches the ball, he's great. And then the coach said, anyone is good in space. This is the running back coach. Like, why? Like, I kept saying this over and I was like, bro, why are we not listening to what he's saying? Like, Bucky Irving, the one thing he does, he's not a burner. But the one thing he does, he's incredibly quick decision maker with the ball in his hand. He puts his foot in the ground and goes. He may not go in the right direction, but he's going to go. Rachaad White, is just back there, just dancing, gets tackled, dancing, gets tackled. Like this was not
Yeah.
new. This was not surprising. I thought it was going to happen later in the season, though. I didn't think it was going to happen like week 2 or 3, where we're seeing like Bucky got more carries today. That should scare the hell out of Rashad Whiteowner. Like that is like, and also the receiving work. Like Bucky had 3 of 3 for 14. Like Bucky's okay in the receiving game. That is where White separates himself. So that is the concern for me. Real quick, Eric, let's go take a break real quick. We're gonna talk about a lot more hits and misses on the other side of this break, and let's chat with the Podfather about the Breakout Finder.
Oh, hey, it's Mr. Breakout Finder coming at you. The Breakout Finder features 3 key tools: a database of metrics that include speed score, college dominator, breakout age, but also Breakout Finder only stats like dynamic score, level of competition, teammate score. All of these things are part of the overall Breakout Finder algorithm that pinpoints the probability that a player will break out. Everyone's talking about my model does this and my model does that. Well, we give you the data points that go into the model. We have a feature that lets you compare players, and then we give you the precise probability of every wide receiver, every running back, sorted and filterable by class year. So when I'm talking to my friends and I need to show them why I'm so bullish on player X, I pull out the Breakout Finder and bam, there he is. So go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's $5 to get the Breakout Finder, and then a couple extra bucks to get some of these additional enhanced stats. Go download it and thank me later.
Hey, the first person you guys just saw on there, Malik Neighbors. That Breakout Finder, if you had that preseason, would have helped you figure that out. Now, I mean, obviously he's an amazing talent, but Malik Neighbors today is just like, to me, he's the top rookie receiver rest of season moving forward. Like he's the guy because his targets are safe. Like he is the offense. In Kyler Murray's offense, unless we hopefully Trey McBride, he's healthy. We're going to talk about injuries later. There's other options in that offense for the Cardinals. There really is. Like Singletary went crazy, but typically running back is better. Tight end is better. Some of the other receivers even just do a little more than the Giants guys. Malik Neighbors is the whole show. And they let that man go off today in Cleveland. He went for 28 points. He threw a pass. Didn't know that. He had 2 carries for 4 yards, but obviously in the air, 8 of 12, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he's just, the ankles of the DBs for Cleveland are still on the field right now. Like, he's just nasty with his routes. And he is, like, the 12 targets. That's the one thing you got to focus on, guys. Like, the opportunities. They're just going to be there more so than probably any other rookie receiver, unless there's, like, some injuries down the season. But, like, right now, safest bet to give you that PPR production.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, you also think about the team, they're going to be in the air quite often as they aren't like a world beater squad. You know what I'm saying? So given that they're probably going to play from behind for a majority of their games, if not the rest of them, he will always be an important piece. And the guy, he just has a very good connection with the quarterback. In every interview, he just says how he's happy the team trusts him with the opportunities that they give him. So this is one of the most highest amount of volume, like you just said, that you can be very confident in its consistency going forward. If you got Malik Neighbors, you want a king's ransom for him, and you want to give one to get him if you've got it.
Yeah, I'm not trading him. So I'm not trading him at all. I'm keeping Malik Neighbors. I'm not letting go of Malik Neighbors. I'm not selling him high. That is just a guy you ride him to the fantasy championship. Pause. That sounded crazy. No Diddy, and that means a lot nowadays.
Yeah, it does.
No Diddy, no trafficking. I don't. All of it alleged. I'm sure he's litigious. All right, let's go. So I just did Malik Neighbors. Who do you want to go with next? Oh, sorry. Before you go, real quick, my bad. Every single person in here, we got a lot of people watching the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe. You'll know whenever we go live. We do this every Sunday before the game starts at 8 o'clock. And this is the place for you to come and just download your thoughts. If you got comments, throw it in the chat, man. We're going to put those on the screen and we'll talk through it. Like, we have our own topics, but this is interactive, man. So just let us know what you think. This is supposed to be interactive. What's up, Jamie? See, Jamie, he is on top of it, man. Yeah, it looks like you're a Browns guy, I think, right, man? That was a tough one today. That was a tough one today. All right. My bad, Eric. Go ahead.
Oh no, you straight. I guess I got a 2-for-1 real quick. We can get on the Titans. Calvin Ridley, he underperformed. 1.9 points, 1 of 3 receptions for 9 yards. But I guess those of you who believed in getting Nuke Hopkins, he actually on the opposite side today had 19.3 points, and he had 6 of 7 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown. Will Levis, again, he had a pretty poor game. And his coach, of course, no one had a position where he still says, this is our quarterback going forward for the rest of the season. We're not going to switch or change anything up. But at least you got to see somebody on the Titans that you haven't heard anything about all season. We had the MCL sprain. He was able to do something and show you who he is. He's not in the prime of his career, but he still has some value going forward. It is a little bit concerning that Calvin Ridley, one of the best people getting open on this offense, didn't really perform as well. Tony Pollard still sticking with the Titans. He did very poorly today as well. He went for 5.9 points, 6 carries, 14 yards. And, it's just the Titans. If they go ahead and get things together, you probably have to pick and choose from week to week who's really going to be the ones to come out on top. But I'd probably still have a lot of favor leaning towards Calvin Ridley. It just was finally giving Nuke Hopkins some opportunity to show that he still got it tonight.
I feel you. I'm gonna get to your question, Slade. I see it right there. We're gonna leave it up. But the thing with Calvin Ridley, that was definitely one of the guys at the top of my sell high list last week or this past week. It was because he's a great receiver. I get it. But they made it very clear. They said, we have to get Nuke Hopkins more involved. That's one. And they clearly did that. They also, you see the touchdowns they had last week. One of them was a rushing touchdown. The other one, while he's an NFL player, is an amazing catch. It was one of the most improbable catches you'll ever see. Like, it was crazy. He was on the ground in the end zone, basically falling, and the ball popped right in his hands. But obviously, you're an NFL player, you got to catch it. Really impressive. It still was like a very weird, odd catch. Like, for me, it was very easy to say, Calvin Ridley, sell him high. Because this team had told us this whole offseason, we were going to be one of the top throwing teams in the league. They're going to throw the most amount in the NFL. They're pretty average when you think of that. They're actually right in the middle of the pack as it relates to the amount of times they have like run plays versus pass plays. And so for a team with a bad quarterback, also with that quarterback, if you think about it, who does he have a better connection with? Nuke Hopkins or Calvin Ridley? It's Nuke Hopkins. Like, clearly is Nuke Hopkins. He played with him last year. Like this was the most obvious sell high in the world. I pray you don't have Calvin Ridley on your teams anymore, because I don't know when he's going to have another decent game. Get him off your team the second he does.
Well said.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Slade. Let's see. So sitting nice at 2-1, lots of points, sitting high in the league. All right, you patting yourself on the back. All right, who are guys I could buy low? All right, who are some guys we could buy low? I think that technically you could buy Mike Evans low. I personally don't want to go acquire him, but you could technically do that. I think some of the players, and I'm just looking at some of the misses we have here. CJ Stroud is the one that kind of jumps out to me. That, he's gonna, they were not clicking the first few weeks, even though he's been winning. He's been playing well. It just hasn't been there in fantasy. I think that's something that's going to change relatively soon. So I would not be super afraid of that. Let's see. Zay Flowers, another guy. Based on the team they have, I think he's going to be more pivotal to that offense. I would buy Anthony Richardson low. I'm going to continue to do that. He's going to be able to give you just phenomenal upside games. So those are some of the ones of the players, especially who did terrible this week, that I think you should buy low. Eric, did you have any other ideas?
One player that comes to mind, I know everybody knows that was it on the Jets? This goes back from a game that we didn't have, but I think Mike Will, given the accuracy and how well Aaron Rodgers played over this past Thursday, I think he's going to be a player who gets a lot more opportunity. And before he got hurt, everyone does know his talent. So being pretty much the big guy target, they did try to go ahead and get him some scores in that game. They didn't connect, but I think over time he will be someone who can provide some value going forward. If you've got the space, he's a player that I think might even be on the waiver wire as opposed to having to trade and cost you something to acquire. People might have forgot about him, and even that game took place on Thursday as opposed to today on Sunday, he's a player that I think going forward will have some return for you, given that his quarterback is really, really being his old self again.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's one of the benefits of like you have a guy who's possibly on the waiver wire who's incredibly talented. We've seen it before, and we've seen literally every single week Aaron Rodgers improve from a throwing standpoint. Pisses me off about Garrett Wilson, but I also like that's another guy who I
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
buying low too. Like Aaron Rodgers also said,
Oh yeah.
him and Lazard just have an easy connection, and he did basically say, still working on that with Garrett Wilson. They're gonna get there before the end of the season, and so you don't want to be sitting on the sideline with Garrett.
Yeah, if you could acquire Garrett Wilson, I didn't say his name because I didn't think anybody would probably let him go. If he's on the table, by all means, pay the cost.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Right now, his cost is going to be low, even though he scored. We all saw that. We saw that touchdown. It felt like almost like a charity. It almost, you know what I mean? It felt like we were going to get Garrett Wilson in the end zone. It really felt like forced. It did not feel like that first touchdown to Lazard was the type of touchdowns I was expecting Garrett to get. Like, oh, we're going to have this running play, but I see you're one-on-one, so I'm going to just throw it to you. Garrett Wilson should be that guy. And so that's what we're hoping to see, and that's why you could definitely buy him low. All right, let's go. I'm gonna go with another hit, if you don't mind. It's kind of a mixed hit. Chris Olave finally showed up. This is another player improving every week. First week was terrible. Last week was like solid. You saw like the beginnings of something. And then this past week, 20 points, 6 of 6 for 86 yards and a touchdown. Really impressive touchdown toe drag too. Like it was really, really like pro level stuff.
Oh yeah.
The thing,
definitely.
like you so in the note on my notes here, I don't know if you see the comment I wrote. I have here on the notes, guys, just behind baseball, lacking on the last deep pass. That interception, you see this with Chris Olave all the time. I just want to be in his head sometimes, like, bro, what are you doing? Because on that last interception, I don't know if he just like lets up, but he could have done something to not let Reed Blankenship pick that off. Like he just kind of is running, and I don't know if it's like downfield awareness is not there like it is with Shaheed typically. Like I could see clearly like Derek Carr's going to be pissed off about that last throw because it's just like, bro, get your head around, and look for the ball, and it's just right into the lap of the Philly player. It's just I'm sure he was infuriated with that, and that's the thing that concerns me about Olave. You can get all the opportunities in the world, but if you just kind of like F up a little bit, like that's the thing that's always in the back of my head about Olave. He's going to get the opportunities. He's very talented, but he just is kind of like just every now and then. I don't know what's going on in his head on the like I don't know how else to say it. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's just I don't get it.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, you're up next. What's up?
I'm going to go with a miss since you just went with one of them good old hits. And one of the misses that I want to go on is Josh Jacobs, 5.8 points, 14 carries, 43 yards, 1 of 1 receptions for 5 yards. Some other guy, E. Wilson, on that team came out of nowhere. My man got 16.5 points, 12 carries, 50 yards, 2 of 2 receptions for 35 yards, and a very nice touchdown. You don't see this coming with Josh Jacobs. You don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who is that guy, Tumi?
Emmanuel Wilson. So he's definitely somebody who's interesting. He's more interesting if Jacobs was hurt, but like that's the concern with Jacobs. He's just kind of old right now. This also, the thing that sucks about the last 2 weeks is, well, not last week, but we all know who's getting the ball. We know Josh Jacobs is getting the ball, and he's not that type of guy who, if you have a ton of focus on him, like last year, he led the league in defenders in the box. He was awful. If you know they're running the ball and you're not the Colts who could not stop a cold until today for some reason, he's not going to do that well, and he didn't do well today. And so these younger players who just have more bursts are going to do better. And he also, this guy just caught a big pass and like scored a touchdown. You can't take anything away from it. But I'm a little concerned about Jacobs, his ceiling, but I think he'll be better than this on a week by week basis, especially again like. You're not going to be able to defend the box when you have Jordan Love, and it does look like we're going to get Jordan Love next week. So another player who I would definitely throw out some feelers to buy low. I'm not going to like spend really high on him though, but I'm sure whoever's owns Jacobs may be a little salty about like this past week. The first week he actually ended up doing okay. Really was terrible the first half. Last week he was crazy good. He's just not scoring. And that's going to come in bunches when you have a better offensive play caller or a better offensive like leader in Jordan Love on the field. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, that takes me back to some of those buy low candidates. Since they are probably going to get Jordan Love next week, they said that he might have even played this past week. You probably want to go ahead and grab a Green Bay Packer receiver. We still don't know who's the alpha receiver like we do in Houston with it being Nico Collins. Who's the Nico Collins of Green Bay Packers? Is it Romeo Doubs, Ontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson? That's a whole lot of names I just said. So get one of them pieces, you know what I'm saying? If you need something, maybe it'll be the guy that you happen to pick up that might pop off. So we've got that opportunity coming back with Jordan Love coming back in the saddle.
I feel you. All right, so we're gonna we're gonna do, go through injuries, go through like a few little quick early waiver wire talk, and then we're gonna get out of here, make a game prediction. Of Chiefs in Atlanta is going to be starting up if it hasn't already. I'm going to just run through this. Yeah, I'm going to run through this list of injuries. So Alvin Kamara, he got dinged up but came back in the game. So just keep an eye on that because even sometimes like players stay with the adrenaline, but then they end up missing time. Amari Cooper left the game. DJ Moore left with an apparent knee issue. Tank Dell got banged up as well. Sam Laporta got carted off. He came back and then left again. Thanks for that. Trey McBride, like I saw this one. Trey McBride and Brian Branch like knocked each other out. So clearly we're dealing with some concussion protocol likely there. Same thing, Brock Bowers, concussion. Like tight ends got really rocked this week. We are struggling at that position. Boy, oh my gosh, right now. Justin Herbert re-aggravated that ankle sprain that he was like tentative to even play with. Sam Darnold, he went out, but he came back in after the next play and what crazy 4 touchdowns. Like Sam Darnold is here. Devonta Smith's injury was scary, bro. That one was tough. Like I thought he could like kill somebody the way that looked. But he's in the concussion protocol, so I don't know.
That was definitely one of them car accident tackles that people talk about that can take place in the NFL.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jamie. Yep, yeah, Laporta sprained ankle. That sucks. I hope it's not a high sprain. Who else we got? Adam Thielen. It looks like, I don't know if it's hammy, but he had a lower leg injury on the touchdown catch. Trent Williams. So Mike Tomlin said Jalen Warren wasn't running smoothly and was pulled from the team's Week 3 win over the Chargers. So it does seem like maybe that hammy is still bothering him. And then just some of these other issues are some of these other players who are not fantasy directly related, but they're either defensive players or offensive linemen. Trent Williams, he went out but came back in. Seemed like it was just cramps. I was gonna be scared as hell about that one. Lane Johnson as well as Mekhi Becton left the game. Lane Johnson definitely didn't return. I'm not sure if Mekhi Becton did, but that's your whole right side of the offensive line. The Eagles are banged up right now. Them getting that win is like such a big deal because they are not healthy. Joey Bosa left. I mean, this guy cannot stay healthy, out with a hip. On the defense for the Colts, Kenny Moore and Kwity Paye both left. So a team who sucks on defense. I mean, Caleb Williams threw for damn near 400 yards. They're not going to get any better with that. And then Budda Baker also left too. So, I mean, the one saving grace on that defense, at least from like a player standpoint, is Budda. So that's a little concerning. So just keep an eye out for that stuff, guys. All right, what else? We had talked about buy lows and sell highs. I think we're good on that. Early waiver guys, just to consider, just keep an eye on. Obviously, if people like Chuba Hubbard are available, you got to go grab them like yesterday. Same thing with any of the Panthers guys. I've seen a lot of them get dropped, so make sure you just scoop them up. It won't be like this every week, but I do think what you saw was this is Dave Canales' offense, so you have the opportunity just for better upside with these players, so make sure you pick them up. Juwan Jennings, clearly, if he's available, which he's likely not, but if he's available, Juwan Jennings. Again, he'll probably never have a game like that again, but he's just getting picked up, guarantee. You got Rashawn Johnson, who played a lot with Swift. Swift just he looked like some ass today. Like, real quick, what are your thoughts on Swift?
That is a good question. I mean,
it's just trash. Like, it's just so we trash.
Like, he's got it, but I don't know if the jury's still out on him. It's like you want to give him some opportunity because he has the talent, but I'm like, my man.
Yeah,
I gotta say, until he puts it together, you can't really invest in him right now, to be honest. Don't let yourself be the guy waiting on DeAndre Swift to turn it around. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's technically a buy low. I'm gonna miss that train. I was telling people to buy him low. That was wrong. He just may suck. The Colts are not a good run defense. They did better today, but like let's not get it twisted. Like there's not a good run defense, and they were splitting. I haven't checked the snap count, but they are splitting like crazy there too. Yeah, you saying like Rashawn's the best Bears running back. Like there was almost some rumors this week that if Swift did badly, he may get benched. And so I think from a waiver standpoint, like you're saying, Jamie, Rashawn Johnson, definitely pick him up. I think Khalil Herbert's interesting too, because it seems like whenever they get in the red zone, he's the guy who's getting the ball. Very rarely do you see Swift in there. And so I would definitely consider him as well. Bucky Irving, they were scheming up ways to get him the ball. So I definitely think that's an interesting player as well. Alan Lazard, if he's still available, he's clearly just has that connection with Aaron Rodgers. At some point, it's not going to be there, but at least until then, like he's just scoring every week, so you got to at least take note of that. Calvin Austin III. So he is not like some amazing player, and I'm not really interested in the third passing option with Justin Fields right now. But it does seem that Justin Fields' confidence is increasing. I mean, he's 3-0, which is wild. But Calvin Austin, like, he's a very good player coming out of Memphis. I don't know if he tore his ACL his first year, but he basically he was out his first year. Really good route runner. He's just another one of those small, like kind of later round pick Pittsburgh wide receivers who nobody knows about. He's not going to be Antonio Brown or Emmanuel Sanders, but like I'm gonna just take some shots on like some Calvin Austin in the deeper leagues that I have. Like I think that he is talented enough to get the ball. But I would not expect a game like he had today on a weekly basis.
Yeah, he's got some burners, boy. That man can run.
Yep. And then obviously I talked about the Panthers, but obviously if Andy Dalton's out there, he's not going to do what he did today. The game tape is going to be out there. Teams are going to adjust. But I think the scheme, like we saw with Baker last year, Dave Canales designs a scheme to make it easy for whoever he has. So whatever Andy Dalton likes to do, that's what you're going to see. And they're already literally talking about trading Bryce Young, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Oh, God.
Crazy.
It is very crazy. All right, man, last thing. So who you picking this week? You got the Chiefs, you got the Falcons, and why?
Chiefs, Falcons. Where they playing at?
Playing at Atlanta.
It's hard to go against the Chiefs, man. I'm gonna say it's the Chiefs. It's tough. I can't go against them. And I think all the stuff they said about Travis Kelce, they probably gonna force feed him the ball. They got Rashee Rice. I think Atlanta knows they're probably gonna lean more so to go into the air, of course, without Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you have to lean to the air, you got my man that's basically a living legend right now, playing right now, who can pass the ball. Andy Reid's creativity, Patrick Mahomes' ability to execute, and talent he has a tight end as well as with Rashee Rice. I just see them being able to get it done. I do think I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta can pull it out, though. Atlanta, they showed me something against Philly with the way they're able to move that ball. And you haven't seen the best of Bijan, I don't think, to be honest with you, but I just still will lean towards the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, Bijan's been balling. It's just he hasn't scored, which is I have him rated as like my 1 or 2 this week. I just think he scores this week. I just think you can only go so many weeks without Bijan scoring a touchdown. But even so, both teams against running backs have been like pretty elite, like in top 10. Both teams against quarterbacks have been really awful. And so I do think that there's going to be some opportunity. Like I think for the Falcons, though, a lot of it has come from rushing. Yeah, rushing quarterbacks. But Mahomes, I think on every game where he's like thrown 2 interceptions or basically just had an awful game, the next game he's thrown on average 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, 111 QB rating. And so I think you're a smart man. I'm going to also pick the Chiefs. Like I'm just not like I think actually it's funny. I think the first time he really started to show anything in the preseason, this has come from Nick Wright on what was that show called? On First Things First, I think. He was saying like I think his career really started when he had a preseason game in Atlanta. And that's the last time he played there. I think that Patrick Mahomes, he's a top 3 quarterback for me this week. I think he balls out. Rashee Rice is a must start. Kelsey is a must start this week, and I know that's scary to say. He was a buy low for me. I think he's going to do well. And like you said, both the teams' running defense is pretty good. Why not air it out? Why not use Rashee Rice as a pseudo run game? And I think they're going to get it done. Even though it's going to be an interesting game, I don't think it's going to be like some blowout though.
Yeah, I think we got a good one coming up here.
All right. Well, we'll let you guys get to it. That's it for us. I appreciate everyone hopping in here. Eric, you got any last words for the people?
Oh, yeah, still have a good time. You know, even though we got this game, we also have 2 games on Monday. So a lot of people are probably still in their games right now. If you're doing well, more than likely your opponent isn't done. So we got a lot of fantasy football still to go through with week 3. So keep it up. Let's enjoy it. Have a good one.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to our TikToks. Make sure you obviously subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on Twitter, all that stuff to Player Profiler News, Player Profiler. We got to show, if you got a certain type of fantasy format, we got a show for that at Player Profiler. So make sure you guys tap in, check out the website, check out all the content. There's a ton of smart guys here. And peace out.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.